be making a rare and probably one-off trip to the Call of Duty franchise, and there's a couple of reasons for this. The first is we all know Call of Duty Ghosts came out recently, and I've seen people absolutely slating it. You know, it's had a really, really bad reception. And secondly, because I actually went and picked up Call of Duty 4 at the weekend. Me and my friends actually spent the weekend on this game, and it brought back a lot of good memories. I used to absolutely love this game. So that's the gameplay you can see in the background. And it made me think really about what has happened to Call of Duty in the recent years, and why people like myself who used to love Call of Duty 4 don't go anywhere near the franchise anymore and stick to games like Battlefield. Now before I get into it as well, the observant among you will notice that on the thumbnail, instead of saying Bright Vision Videos in the bottom left corner, it actually says BVV Sam. Now this is because I will soon be changing my name to this. I'm going to mention this in a couple of upcoming videos just to make sure everyone knows that if they see a video pop up under the title BVV Sam, it's me, just under a different name, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, I'll get into the details now of what I think really has sort of led Call of Duty astray. Now I used to love CoD 4, it was my favourite shooter, and I quite enjoyed World at War. I liked Nazi Zombies, I thought it was quite a cool, refreshing idea. And then Modern Warfare 2, I had some fun on that, but ended up trading it in, and I think I traded it in for Halo Reach, and since then I've not bought a single Call of Duty game. I've never looked back. I've played other Call of Duty games, but just really not enjoyed them as much as I used to enjoy CoD 4. And if you ask the average sort of Battlefielder why they don't like CoD, most of them will talk about the community, but I don't think the community can be blamed for the entirety of the downfall of the franchise. I mean, even hardcore CoD fans are absolutely slamming the new release, and it's because there's been no change really since Call of Duty 4. Call of Duty 4 was a good game, but everyone after it has just been the same stuff repackaged, given new maps. And actually, if you actually look at the difference graphically between CoD 4 and the latest release, for the amount of timescale between them, I think CoD 4 came out in 2007, so that's 6 years. In 6 years there's been very little change in graphics, which is just quite lazy development. However, if you compare Halo 4 with Halo 3, or even Halo 4 with Halo Reach, you see just how much difference can be made over a couple of years graphically, and it really does highlight just how lazy the developers of Call of Duty have been. Now I know Halo 4 changed hands, but again you compare Halo Reach and Halo 3, again there's a massive difference in graphics, so that's one thing that really sort of highlight the laziness of the developers for the game. They just aren't prepared to risk making changes, and you can only feed people the same stuff for so long. I know a new Call of Duty game has got to feel like Call of Duty. They can't make massive drastic changes, but they just don't make any changes it seems really. And there's only so long you can feed people the same stuff before they start to get bored and want to see something new. I've actually seen people say that Call of Duty Ghosts is a step back, and this is such a shame to see a franchise like this falling into such lazy ways, because like I said, Call of Duty 4 was an absolutely fantastic game, and any person who enjoys modern day first person shooters will probably have owned Call of Duty 4, and most of you will have enjoyed it. I know a lot of you won't admit it, because now it seems among the Battlefield community the mention of Call of Duty is just an instant disrespect, but we can't hide from the fact that Call of Duty 4 was really good. And that's really got to make us wonder why the franchise has plummeted so much recently. Now obviously the community has also contributed. Call of Duty 4 was their best release, but also their biggest downfall, and it brought a lot of annoying and, I want to say, unsporting players. I want to try and keep this as mild manners as possible, but you know the kind that I mean, the 360 quickscopers, the little kids who scream down the microphone. We played Call of Duty 4 when we were sort of 13, 14 years old, and we weren't anything like that. We just had a good game, had fun, and tried to enjoy ourselves. Now we've matured, we moved on to things like Battlefield, and the 13 and 14-year-old kids that we were, that are now playing Call of Duty, completely different. They just scream at the headset down you, send you messages. It has contributed greatly to the downfall of Call of Duty. The community has really sort of taken a back step. I'm not saying every Call of Duty player is like that, but there are a lot of players like that. I mean, I played a recent Call of Duty release, I think it was Black Ops 2 not too long ago, and I think I was the only person in there that was old enough to drink, and the only person who had the maturity not to just scream high-pitched profanities down the microphone. You know, it really made me want to smash the face against the bookcase. It is quite annoying. However, if you go back to Call of Duty 4, the people that are playing that tend to be the ones that loved it back in the day. I don't like using phrases like back in the day, it makes me sound about 60 years old, but it's the people who enjoyed Call of Duty when it was still what it used to be. I mean, Call of Duty used to be one of the biggest first-person shooter franchises out there, and it still is. But a lot of people are starting to lose respect for it, and Call of Duty Ghosts has represented a big turning point for me, because there's always been people who criticise it, but the amount of criticism that Ghosts has received is absolutely overwhelming. I know Battlefield 4 not had a perfect release, but at least people are wanting to stick with it. I know a lot of hardcore Call of Duty players who have just turned their back on the series after Ghosts and said, you know what, we expected a new engine, we expected tweaks, we expected it to feel different, and it just doesn't. So I think that's the problem. They've not changed the engine since Call of Duty 2. I think in the time between then and now, they've had fewer new engines than Battlefield have had over the last 4 games, and that really, really does highlight the problem with the development of the game. The developers just aren't brave enough to step away from something. And it's great to say, oh, we've got something that works, let's stick with it. But you've got to make changes if you want to keep people interested. So for me, that's the big downfall of Call of Duty. The communities become unbearable in some ways, although not everyone is tarred with the same brush in that case. But the fact that the developers just don't put any time into trying to make new Call of Duty games revolutionary, they just want to stay in the safe zone. That represents a real problem with the franchise for me, because in order to wow people, you've got to take yourself out of the safe zone, step out of your comfort zone and try something new that may work and it may not. And they just don't seem to have the bravery to do that. So that's why I stopped playing the franchise. Having said that, going back onto Call of Duty 4 is good fun, and I'm going to start doing it more often because it brings back so many good memories. And as much as I don't like the franchise now, I still love that game. But I want to get your opinions as well. Do you think the franchise has taken a huge back step? Do you think Call of Duty Ghosts could be the final nail in the coffin for Call of Duty? Could Battlefield 4 become the more dominant modern-day first-person shooter? Now keep your eyes peeled for the next video. I'll be discussing the Scar H as part of the Weapons of the Assault class series, and I'll be giving away my first set of Battlefield 4 dog tags. Now if you don't win this week, don't be disheartened, I have so many pairs to give away. Also, don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Twitter. There are links in the description to keep you up to date with all the latest things that I'm doing. And make sure you hit like, leave a comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe for your chance to win some of those beautiful dog tags. But in the meantime, you guys take care of yourselves, and I hope to see you all very soon.